Okay, hi everybody, Baruch Hashem, here we are. Erev Shabbat Kodesh, Parashat Vayetze. But before we get to Parashat Vayetze, I wanted to talk about a little bit some leftovers from last week's Parasha. Talk about Eliezer, Eved Abraham a little bit. We know that every word and every oath in the Torah is going to teach us Tele Tilim Halachot, a lot of different things that we can learn from. Today we want to focus in the beginning of the Shiur about Eliezer's intentions in getting a wife for Yitzchak. We all know that Eliezer, Eved Abraham, was so reliable that Abraham gave him everything when it came to financial matters, Gashmiut, anything had to do with this world. He relied on him with closed eyes. But when it came to getting us a woman, a wife for Yitzchak, he made sure that Eliezer is going to follow the instructions that Abraham gives him. And based on debating, going back and forth, Abraham says, make sure that the wife you're going to get, number one, is not from the Canaanites, the nations around them. And number two, when you go back to my birthplace in today's day and age, Baghdad, make sure that she agrees to come to Eretz Israel and you're not taking my son back to Baghdad. So Eliezer says one sentence in the mention of the Torah. It says, Ulai, maybe she won't want to come here. What should I do? All of a sudden, Abraham starts jumping around. He's very calm usually. He says, be careful. Tizayeh lecha. If chas b'shalom, you take my son back out of Eretz Israel. Okay. Seems like a back and forth, very logical questions. I'm going on a mission over here. And he's asking, the slave is asking Abraham exactly what to do. There was no iPhones back then, no WhatsApp groups, no telegrams. Once I go over there, I have to ask all my questions now. Okay, very good. But there's one word in the Torah, it says Ulai, spelled Aleph, Vav, Lamed, Yud. Maybe she won't want to come back with me. So he says, if she doesn't want to come back, come back. Don't bring her. But when Eliezer goes to Baghdad and is speaking to the father and the brother of Rivkah, going back and forth what Abraham said, he uses the word Ulai again, but this time it's without a Vav. It could be written as Elai, meaning what? Our Chachamim, the sages tell us that although Eliezer was one of the 10 people that went to Gan Eden alive and he was very on a high level, but he still had hidden intentions. We all know that the sages tell us that he had a daughter. Now we're talking about a Tznuah daughter. She was raised up in the Beis Yaakov of Sarai Emenu. She was Tznuah. She did not go around playing around. She was the one. If could be one person in Canaan at the time, it would have been her. But there was one problem. Hashem already told Abraham that you're blessed and you cannot go with cursed people. And we know that Eliezer, the son of Nimrod, the son of Ham, the son of Noach, was cursed by Noach himself, that they're going to be a cursed nation. And Abraham, but you expect him to say maybe chesed, don't worry about it, it's not nice. Eliezer, the daughter went to Beis Yaakov, come on! Abraham says, Tizayeh lecha. Blessed cannot go with cursed. I don't care who you are. I respect you as a human being. But you're cursed. And I'm blessed. So we can't go together. But Eliezer still had in his heart, maybe, Elai Tavo, maybe Rivkah would say no, and I will still get the... So our sages tell us, the hidden intentions of Eliezer is written down in the Torah, saying that in this instance, Eliezer was a crook. Chas v'shalom, we can't say that. Because like you said, Eliezer was one of the 10 people that went in the history of the world to Gan Eden alive. Find me somebody today that goes to Gan Eden alive. It's impossible. But with this instant, that's the beauty of our Torah. It doesn't leave out any thing that needs to be talked about for the person that was being said and for us to learn from. Eliezer messed up in the fact that he wanted to still somehow squeeze his daughter to marry Yitzchak. That's why he says Ulai is meant to Eli. Now, Rabbi Yosef Mizrahi explained this very well. If you put Eliezer in a lie detector test and ask him questions, did you mean Ulai, maybe, or Eli? To me, he would pass the test. The hidden intentions would not come on the lie detector. But we're dealing with God here, and God, when He writes down Ulai was meant to Eli and he had intentions, that means that problem exists with every single one of us. You have a business partner. You're dealing with business, you're being very nice to your friend, but maybe inside you want to cheat him. Maybe you on a date and you're saying stuff, but you're not saying really who you are. Maybe there's hidden intentions here. Maybe you want to marry him for the money, not for this, not for that. This subtle change from Ulai to Eli teaches us a life lesson that everybody in the world, but especially the Jewish people, when it comes to being honest, we have to know that we're dealing with the lie detector of God. And with Him, there's no mistakes. And we say every morning that we have our inside has to be on like what we say on the outside. There's no one else that God hates the most than somebody who's thinking something with his heart, and when it comes outside, he's planning a way to kill his friend with this Ulai Eli. So that's number one. Number two, going back to the whole intention of Abraham, I don't understand. Why don't you be a little nice to Eliezer? You go, like we said before, what we mentioned. When it comes to the Jewish people, they cannot marry somebody, in our instance, what we call today, that's not Jewish. Now, it could be the girl, the Gentile girl, or the Gentile boy. He's a super Christian. Very good. Maybe even a Noachite. Keeps the 7 mitzvot of Noach. Believes in God. Is not immoral. Doesn't steal. The 7 mitzvot that every Noachite, every Gentile has to follow. And if you compare it to a Jew, she's much better than him. She's much better than him. Maybe the Jew's not holding on the same level. So let them get married maybe. There's only one problem. God said you can't. Once says God that you cannot marry out of your nation, that's the end of the story. And that's what Avraham says. You could be the nicest person, Eliezer. Your daughter could be a Beis Yaakov girl. But God already instructed me that I can't marry out of my religion. That's number two. Number three. Rabbi Biderman, I heard this last week, asked the question, why when he came to the birth of Esav and Yaakov, why do they have to be in the same stomach? You have a Sadiq and a Rasha. For God's sake, separate them. 2 different pregnancies. Why does Yaakov have to suffer? Why does Rivkah have to suffer? Every time she goes by the Bet Knesset, we said last week, and she goes on the other side, there's kicking, this one wants to come out, this one wants to come out. Separate the fruit from the klippah. Why do they have to be together? He says a very, very important point that is true for every one of us today. Again, the Torah is not a storybook that happened one time. It's eternal. Every year that we go through it, we have to see what is going on in this week's Parashah as applies to me. Rabbi Biderman said that they had to be in the same stomach for Esav not to have any complaints to Hashem. If I had parents like this, I would have been a better person. If I had a yeshiva like this, I would have been a better person. If I had a religious family like Yaakov did, I would be a better person. They were born into the same conditions, same parents are righteous, same yeshivot, but Esav chose to make a left turn. He made a left turn. How does it speak to you and I today? A lot of times we hear people say, I was raised like this, I had bad friends, I was born like this, Rabbi. Maybe God doesn't expect this of me. The last time I checked in the book of the Torah, it doesn't say, do this mitzvah except for X, Y, and Z. When it says you should follow the mitzvot, Hashem expects from every single one of us, with whatever challenge they're born, with whatever tendency they're born. that they have to follow the book. There's no exceptions. Now, it could be harder for some people. It could be easier for some people. But we learn from Esav and Yaakov in the same stomach. And the fact that it says in the Torah and Parashat Bereshit, three wars that you can't go back on. Vata timshol bo. Translate it, that Hashem created you with the Yetzer Hara, even inclination, to test you in order to choose good or bad. And He gave you a promise. You will rule over it. Since these words are written in the Torah and doesn't say any exceptions, that means everybody is born with the challenges that he's born with, but again with the kochot, with the power to overcome the Yetzer Hara. If he doesn't get to the level to pass the test, he can't blame God. We see by Esav and Yaakov, same conditions. Esav in the end chose to make a left turn. Like I said, a person could be born with tendencies, but Hashem expects them to always overcome those tendencies. We see that the great-grandson of Esav, who was a convert, Ovadia Navi, it says over there that he was extremely God-fearing. Unlike his ancestor Esav, who took a left turn, Ovadia, who was working in the palace next to two Reshaim, Achav and Jezebel, he took a right turn. He chose not to follow them. Not like his grandfather who took a left turn. Meaning what? That if anybody comes and tries to say that I was born like this, the conditions were wrong, I was born in the hood, raised by this and raised by that, Hashem gave you the tools. And the only person you have to blame, if you haven't tried, is yourself. But if you try, and you try, and you try, Hashem promises, Ata Timshol Bo. You'll overcome it. Next point I want to talk about. This is Parashah. Before we go to Parashah Vayetze itself, I want to mention that about 45 days ago, a little longer, October 7th, we all know what happened in the South. It's about 6 weeks later. And I know it's true that people try to get on with their lives or whatever it is. But sometimes the feeling comes that we are going back to where we were before the tragedy. Things are going back to normal. Maybe the hostages are coming back. Tomorrow this person is going to go from Hamas, from Gaza, and we go back to regular. That's a huge no. The biggest tragedy is when it happens and a person stays the same. 6 weeks later, he goes back to where he was. Why did Hashem make October 7th? For us to go back to where we were? Why am I saying this? A week ago, I didn't hear this myself. I heard somebody come in a religious radio, a father of a person that has been abducted in October 7th. His son and I think his wife and nobody wants to be in his shoes. He's walking in the street over here and he sees people sitting in a restaurant, chilling, laughing, smoking, eating. That doesn't mean you have to live your life. But at least pick up the food and go home. We're still after the tragedy. If you don't cry about these people, about crying what happened, what did Hashem want from us, and that's the biggest tragedy of all. So let's not forget what happened. We don't have to go back to the Holocaust. We don't have to go back to Corona. Go back to October 7th. If you haven't improved yourself, and Chas v'Shalom, the tragedy has happened for nothing. By Minan. Next is Parashah. We want to talk about Rachel Imenu. You know that Rachel Imenu and Leah, they were twins. And they were so excited to be part of the Jewish people, to bring the 12 holy tribes, who are going to be the genesis of the Jewish people. And the whole machloket, the whole going back and forth between Rachel and Leah is that they're juggling to have more kids and more kids and more kids in order to bring the Jewish people. Now, you see by Rachel Imenu, when her sister already has 6 kids, she comes to Yaakov and says, please pray for me. I don't have any kids yet. Of course, she's praying to Hashem also, but she wants a Sadiq like Yaakov to pray for her. So what does she say? She doesn't come say, Yaakov, please pray for me. She comes to the door, opens the door, goes to Yaakov like a destitute person, and says the following words. Translated. Give me children, if not I'm dead. I have no purpose for this life. There's no purpose for me. What do we learn from this? A Jewish woman. The role of a Jewish woman in Judaism. Besides all the benefits she could bring for herself and her husband. But the main purpose of a woman, Rabbi Victor Miller says, that she wants to get married in order to have children to continue the torch of Judaism to the next generation. If she doesn't have that, she might as well is dead. Not like today, that people are preaching, first go to college, then go to grad school, then once you have a parnasa, then get married and settle down, and have 1.5 kids and 2 dogs. That's not the Jewish way. Rachel made his cry, says, give me children, I want to die. Leah had already 4 kids. She's screaming, I want more kids. Enough already. Why more kids? Because this is my purpose in life. Rabbi Victor Miller screams, the biggest compliment of a Jewish woman is to get married and have a Jewish life according to the Torah and have as many children as possible. Not like today, that unfortunately a lot of the Jewish people never had this. A lot of the Goyish outside world has influenced both the men and the women of the Jewish people. So much so that women have to go to college, and to get a college, okay, to get your degree, I'm not saying this and that. But to wait till your late 30s, 40s, there was a CEO, a woman, a chief of staff, that she made it. She made it. She became a multimillionaire. She was the owner of a big, successful company. At the age of 50, she woke up, she saw herself that she's not married. She doesn't have kids. They interviewed her. How do you feel? How do you feel? You made it in life. You have 7 PhDs. You own a company that millions of dollars, so many people under you. How do you feel? So you expect her to say, yeah, Baruch Hashem, look at me. I made it. She starts crying in the live primetime interview. This is a non-Jewish woman. I'm not even talking about a Jewish woman. Non-Jewish woman. Says, I was lied to. What a stupid feminist that taught me to go and get an education and to get this and to become a millionaire. Look at me now, I'm 50. No husband, no kids, nothing. They lied to me. And my life is over. Rachel Emenu screams, give me children. If not, I'm dead. We have to stop learning from our society what's around us. Let's look in the book of the Torah. A Jewish woman, a Jewish man, they're here to get married and have a Jewish kosher family that will carry on to the next generation. That's our purpose here. You also will have fun that way. When you have a couple that's loyal to each other, and they have kids and they have fun together. What's wrong with that? You have to become a millionaire? It's the children that bring all the money to the world. It says in the Gemara, Zachar ze ba in kikar lechem beyado. Every kid you have, the more money Hashem brings into your account. Who do you think? You're supporting your kids? Hashem's going to let you have your kids in the streets? With every kid, you get more schar, more parnasa. All the money you have in the bank account is because of your kids. The more, the merrier. Finally, we get to the point of Rachel and Leah. We see 2 sisters over here, like we said before, juggling between each other for the sake of heaven to have more and more kids. And then we get to Rachel Imenu. She doesn't have any kids yet. Leah already has 4 kids. And her son, Reuven, goes to find the Dudaim, this magical herb that could help with a woman to become pregnant in a natural means. So Rachel Imenu which she wants to do ishtadlut. She wants to do her part. Of course, she's praying to Hashem, but obviously you got to do your part also. You can't become, you can't win the lottery without buying the lottery ticket. You got to do something. She says, give me please, some of your dudaim. So what does Leah said? It's not enough that you took my man. You also want dudai beni. Very selfish, no? Excuse me, Leah. The whole reason that you're here in this family and you married Yaakov because of me. I gave the simanim. I told you I don't want to embarrass. I don't want my sister to be embarrassed. You have the audacity to come and tell me you took my man? If anything, you took my man. What did she say? You're right, my dear sister. But please, give it to me anyway. She doesn't complain. She says nothing. She gets to dudaim. And she says, because of this, you could be with Yaakov tonight. It was supposed to be her turn. But she gave it up. What do we learn from this? This unselfishness of Rachel Imenu. From all the benefits that she gets later. That the Geulah, the final redemption, will not come until Rachel Imenu is crying. Hashem is not going to listen to anybody except for Rachel. But in this instance, what did she gain over here? She got to such a high level, and this is what Hashem expects of us, to get to this level. That the biggest chesed you could do a person, the biggest gimulat chasadim, goodness you could do to a person, that you doing the guy a favor, and you make him feel that he's doing you a favor. Rachel did her a favor, and she's making her feel that it's her that gives giving him the favor. That's Rachel Imenu. So too by Rivkah. Rivkah, when Eliezer asked for water, he asked for himself. He didn't ask for the Gemalim over there. 10 engines of how much water you have to get over there for the Gemalim, for the camels. But she says, don't worry. I'll get you, and thank you for giving me the opportunity for your camels also. Meaning I'm giving you a feeling that you're doing me a tova. You're doing me a good favor. That's what a Jew has to be. When you do a favor, you give tzedakah. Yeah? Instead of looking down at the guy, you pathetic excuse your life, here, take $1, get out of here. You have to give the feeling to that person, thank you for giving me the married to give you tzedakah, and who knows, you're saving my life. Like the Gemara says, the more that the ashir, the rich, is doing to the poor is doing for the rich. The poor is being mizakah and giving merit to the rich to give it to give tzedakah, for him to have a merit in this world and the world to come. So from all these points we learn how important it is with the Jewish family that when it comes to us getting married at a young age and not waiting to get our education done and get it over with, because usually when an older person gets, the harder it's going to become. It's always comparing to the first one, to the second one that he dated and he didn't go. And of course the older person gets, it's going to be harder for him to have kids. The jealousy between the two sisters shows us how much we have to be jealous when it comes to carrying on to the next generation. And of course, going back to Eliezer, we learn how much we have to be understanding of our inner feelings. Am I doing the good deed that I'm doing right now because Hashem is happy with it? Or I'm doing it because I have some kind of a hidden agenda over here? B'ezrat Hashem, if we put all these together, we could make Hashem extremely happy by following these examples. And B'ezrat Hashem, those who are not married yet, we give a bracha to get married, and the sooner the better. Of course, you have to have a plan, but please don't push it off. Having kids is a bracha. Every kid brings bracha to this world, and the money, and B'ezrat Hashem, with every neshama that comes down, that's going to bring the Moshiach. Why? Because Moshiach is not going to come until all the neshamot are brought down from upstairs to this house. And who knows, if the next child that's born to you, you're the one that caused Moshiach to come. Shabbat Shalom Varach.